the person who diagnosed her, you didn't give her medication, and you definitely didn't hold her down to get the shot at all. Instead, you took her to the doctor who said, hey, this is going to end your life if you don't take care of it. And that was thankfully enough for her to be like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So maybe she's just upset because she got an injection that she didn't want to get. Like, I can understand that, but for her to be upset and be like, wow, this is your fault, and then try to be upset about this by like blocking you everywhere, that is incredibly immature and just so stupid. So in my opinion, if she really wants to break up with you after you saved her life, then so be it. You can absolutely find someone better who will appreciate you for doing the right thing. And in my opinion, this was the only thing to do, because this could have ended really badly and it would have been your girlfriend's fault for not doing something sooner. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. My roommate is recovering from a surgery that has them on an extremely bland and strict diet. But after I ate their favorite food while they're recovering, they said that I'm a jerk and that I need to be more considerate about the things that I eat in front of them. And at this point, I'm kind of frustrated by everything going on and the fact that they would say that to me. And now I'm not sure if I'm the jerk or not, and I just don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so my roommate recently had surgery, and they've been on an extremely strict diet that consists of like really bland foods. They've been pretty bummed out about not being able to eat these things that they enjoy for the last few weeks or so. Now, I work an intense job that requires me to work semi-late, especially one night a week in particular, where I have to literally travel to our furthest office. This drive takes at least an hour each way. Therefore, I'm not home until like 8 o'clock at night, and I will be so hungry and exhausted by that point. Usually on these nights, I'll treat myself by getting delicious takeout and enjoying it while watching a show to wind down for the night. And last night, I got a meal that I was craving, and it just so happens to be one of my roommate's favorite foods. I ate it in the living room while we watched TV, then placed the leftovers in a fridge totally separate from theirs. I made no big thing to rub it in their face or anything like that at all. Well, the next morning, they were very passive-aggressive and claimed I was being inconsiderate for eating food that they like in front of them. This roommate expects all of us living there to not eat things they like while they're recovering, because according to them, they say it's inconsiderate. I feel like I work hard and I can eat whatever I want as an adult, because, you know, surgery doesn't entitle you to like control other people around you. So, am I the jerk for the food I ate around my roommate while they recovered? Because right now, I'm honestly not sure if I'm in the wrong.
That must be uncomfortable.
In my opinion, I don't think you're the jerk.
Let's take a break. I'll use my fire to dry you off.
You can eat this food and they can't. And yeah, it sucks, but guess what? That's not your problem. So no, you're definitely not the jerk, and I think your roommate's just being a little bit weird. Am I the jerk for guilt-tripping my mother-in-law about not eating my cooking in the exact same way that she does to me? Because watching her react in the way that I did when she put the pressure on me was incredibly satisfying and very enjoyable to watch. Here's what happened. To start things off, my mother-in-law is very proud of her cooking. And if I'm being honest, some of it is really good, but a lot of it is just not to my taste. She makes very rich and heavy dishes with a lot of spices that I didn't really grow up with, and my stomach doesn't always handle well. I try to eat what I can, and I'm always polite about it, but sometimes I just can't finish a plate, or I say that I'm just not that hungry. The problem is that she takes it personally every single time. She'll give me this look and say things like, oh, so you just don't like my cooking? Or she'll say, well, everybody else loves my food, why don't you? It puts me in such an awkward spot, and even though my husband usually steps in to redirect her, it still makes me feel guilty and uncomfortable. The thing that really gets me is when I first met her, she told me point blank that she doesn't like the kind of food I grew up eating. She didn't even try it, but just said that it's not for her. I thought that was kind of rude, but I let it go because I figured people have preferences and that's fine. But after months of her making me feel bad for not finishing her dishes, while she openly refuses to touch anything from my background, I decided to finally flip it on her, because this is where I started bringing food that I made anytime that we visit. I would walk in all excited, talking about how I spent hours on this, and I really hope that she likes it, and I can't wait to hear what she thinks about it. And every single time, without fail, she suddenly wasn't hungry, or she'd say that she would try it later and then just never did. So I started giving her the same energy that she gives me. I would look a little sad and I would say, oh, you don't like my cooking? Or I'd say, well, I just made this just for you and you're not even gonna try it? And my God, watching her scramble to make excuses while knowing exactly how I feel every single time she does the same thing to me was a different kind of satisfaction that I will always treasure. But you know what? I guess this worked, because ever since then, she hasn't guilt-tripped me one single time about food. But seriously, I need to know, am I the jerk for like turning this against my mother-in-law and giving her a taste of her own medicine? Because regardless, I feel really good about this, but I just want to know what other people think. Okay, in my opinion, this is exactly the way you should handle this kind of situation. You literally flipped the script and said, oh, okay, you want to guilt-trip me about not eating your food? Congratulations, I'm gonna do the exact same thing to you. So no, you are not the jerk, and honestly, I love the way he handles this. Am I the jerk for refusing to help my roommate get her speeding ticket? As she's demanding that I do it since she says we're like a family and we need to help each other out. But now that I've said no, she's become very passive-aggressive and incredibly cold to me. And at this point, I don't know if I'm the jerk, and I just don't know what to do. Here's what's going on. I'm a 26-year-old female, and I really need some opinions because I'm not really sure if I'm the jerk here. For some context, I live with my roommate, who I will call Jess, and we've been living together for about a year. Usually it's fine, but I will say she is really reckless with money. Last week, she got a $400 speeding ticket and comes in panicking, asking if I can front her the money till her next paycheck. Well, I told her that I can't do that as I'm on a tight budget, and I don't like lending money I can't afford to lose. Manager of a cafe, and about 2 years ago we hired a high school student who I will call Grace, who at the time was 16 years old. Now, Grace relied on her mother to take her to and from work. However, the last 18 months or so, her mother's become very flaky with picking her up from work, often texting her an hour before she's meant to finish with some lame excuse as to why she can't pick her up from work, and that she'll have to find someone else from work to drop her home. The excuses, by the way, are never reasonable, like, oh, I have to work late or something like that, as her mother's actually unemployed and takes advantage of government unemployment benefits. So her excuses are actually like, oh, I'm going to the movies, so I can't pick you up right now. Whenever Grace asked for a lift home, either one of my other colleagues or myself would begrudgingly just take her home, as she was technically a child at the time, and we morally couldn't leave her stranded. I always told myself, however, that once she turns 18, which is legally an adult in my country, that I would stop taking her home as she is now old enough to fend for herself. Well, Grace is now 18 as of last month, and the day finally came that she asked me for a lift home, but I stood my ground and I said no, I can't take you home. Now please keep in mind, she has multiple options for getting home. She could take the bus, which by the way, the bus stop is right outside of our work, and there's one around the corner from her house, and there's buses that come and go like every half hour. She can also take a rideshare like Uber, or worst case scenario, she can walk. Like her house is literally a 20-minute walk away from work, and it's not like we're finishing at 2 o'clock in the morning. We literally finish at 3:30 in the afternoon, and her walk home would be in broad daylight in an upper middle class area with no real danger. Even worse, she's old enough to get her driver's license and even owns a car. But when asked why she doesn't go for her license, she says, oh, I don't need it. Grace seemed upset when I told her that I wouldn't drop her home, but I think it was a good life lesson for herself and a parenting lesson for her mom. But when I got home from work, I felt a bit bad about the situation, and I asked my roommate if I had done the right thing, and he said that I was a jerk and I should have just taken her home instead of being stubborn. And apparently it's not my place to give life or parenting lessons out to people who don't ask for it. So I come to the internet to try and find some kind of answer. Am I the jerk for not giving my colleague a ride home from work? Because right now I'm kind of having mixed feelings about it, and I don't know if I'm in the wrong. Okay, let me make sure I understand this correctly. You're telling me that Grace not only has a car, but she also has multiple avenues of getting home, and yet she's still refusing to take any of these up? Like, my God, there's no excuse for this. Grace is literally just being super lazy for no good reason. She's sitting there trying to be like, I don't have a ride home. I'm gonna be stranded. But it's like, bro, I can probably squint and see your house at the end of the street. Are you kidding me right now? I'm not gonna give you a ride home. You can go there yourself. And also, she has a car. Like, she has one she can use. So instead of taking the initiative and getting a license, she says,
Pyroclastic surge!
Oh my God, what are you doing? You need to get up and get going already. It doesn't have a license.
Incinerate!
Lazy, and there is absolutely no good excuse for that. I am legitimately considering disowning my mom after all the crazy things she put me through throughout my entire childhood. Here's what happened. To start things off, I'm an 18-year-old female, and I will soon be graduating high school, but I have not made definitive plans for college. I will likely choose to live in a dorm because I'm at my breaking point with my mother. For a bit of background, I am an only child child, my parents are divorced, and my dad lives over an hour away. So it is just my mom and I. My mom has suffered from OCD and hoarding disorder throughout my entire childhood. Growing up, I was never allowed to touch anything in my kitchen. I understand children should stay away from the stove, the knives, etc. But if I so much as touched the fridge or counter, I would get screamed at. I could not even get myself
Rise with the
water
sun!
or a snack. All of this had to be done for me by my mom. At the age of 12, I was adamant that I needed more freedom when it came to our kitchen.
Coming!
Because seriously, what 12-year-old should be asking their mom every time they need a glass of water? But after much convincing, she allowed me to start using the kitchen. And this is when she stopped cooking for me entirely. Pretty much every meal since, I have to make it by myself. And every day, I eat alone in my room as she doesn't allow me to eat at our dining table. She also has these types of rules for pretty much everything in the house. For example, there's a chair in our living room that is strictly hers. If I touch it, she'll have to wash the covering on it. I haven't seen her so much as sit on our couch or my bed in years, as she finds them dirty. And it's this, alongside with not allowing shoes in the house, having to clean the bathroom anytime after someone comes over and uses it, and having to wash my hands after picking something up off the floor. Like, these are only a fraction of the rules and obsessions that she has. And I'll definitely spare you the details on the other 100 rules that I've easily had in my life. Basically, what I'm trying to convey is that it's a nightmare living with her. Anytime I do something slightly different than how she wants me to do it, I will automatically get screamed at. Now, as I previously mentioned, she is also a hoarder. No, our house isn't like a stage 5 hoarded home with trash piled to the ceiling, but it is a big issue. She will not allow me to get rid of any of my childhood toys, my books, or clothing, which means that our spare bedroom is filled to the brim with all of this junk, to the point that you can't even walk in it. I've even found her drawers filled with 20-year-old receipts and coupons. Because we have so much unnecessary clutter in my house, I usually stay in my room, which has become basically my safe space. Being around her and this mess is extremely stressful. So at this point, I'm barely able to have a relationship with her. Like, I literally cannot see another day.
Let me weave you a verse.
Recently moved
Lush as the moonlight for the everlasting faith.
When I eventually moved out, I
Burn it down!
about leaving her alone. I just go out with her and do something with her. Even though these things are not bad, she pretty much has no friends other than me at this point. So I feel leaving her alone.
Rise with the sun!
Branch into song.
Get to work!
I want to say it's stuff I really wish I could share, but
Light it up!
Rain cutter.
I terribly
Receive my blessing.
Fulfill our pact! Suffer the wrath of... Burn it down!
over your life. It really sucks. So hopefully you go to college and have a new place you can live in and find some kind of plan of getting away from her. Because what she's done to you is unacceptable, and you definitely deserve to live a peaceful life away from your crazy mom. I accidentally had my baby in my friend's car right as we were rushing over to drive me to the hospital. But now my friend's husband is pissed off at me, saying that I ruined his car and has essentially cut off communication between me and my friend. And at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, for starters, I'm very aware this sounds ridiculous, but I'm so tired of worrying about this because I really just need some outside perspective. Now, about 2 weeks ago, I was almost 38 weeks pregnant. My partner left for an afternoon to help out her brother, and my friend, who I will call Alice, offered to come spend the day with me, so I wasn't alone. Honestly, it was really nice to have her there. We just watched some movies and hung out, and even though I was so uncomfortable through the day, I didn't consider that I might be going into labor, especially since I had been feeling this discomfort for ages. Well, at some point, we did finally realize that this was the real deal, and at this point, I called my wife. We considered waiting until she got back, but things started to get real very fast, and I asked Alice to drive me to the hospital. Well, we didn't fully make it to the hospital, and I ended up having my daughter in her husband's car. And luckily, we're both fine. I had a few complications, which are now okay, and our baby is beyond perfect. And though my wife is having a hard time with having missed her birth, we now have a wonderful tiny human to focus on. Well, things have been really messed up with Alice and her husband though, and I don't know how to solve it. 2 days after all that happened, I sent her a message thanking her again for everything she had done, and I told her in a lighthearted but sincere way to please send me a bill for having the car cleaned. Now, she didn't really reply for a while, and in the end just liked the message. I've messaged her a few times ever since then, and she still hasn't replied. Eventually, her husband sent me a message saying not to message her.
Rise with the
added
sun!
in, "Oh, congrats for the baby, but thanks for ruining my car." And right now, I just feel so lost. And please, don't get me wrong. Of course, my priority is with my little family right now, but this does keep crossing my
Rain
mind.
outlines
This
your
is really unlike her. Her husband and I were never really the closest. I mean, I don't love how he speaks to her sometimes, but still, we were friendly with one another. So at this point, I don't know how to solve this. Did I just traumatize her so much that I now need to leave her alone? Do I keep trying to reach out? I'm so grateful for all that she's done that day, but at this point, I'm seriously lost and I just don't know what to do. Okay, in my opinion, I don't think the problem is with Alice at all. From the sounds of it, it seems like Alice is one of those friends where it's like, oh, you're gonna be by yourself and you're pregnant, of course I'm gonna come over and help you out. Like, she seems like a nice person who just absolutely had the right intentions being there. So in my mind, I don't think she's the problem. Instead, I think the husband is the problem. He sounds like a piece of garbage who clearly talks to his wife in a really poor way, so it's probably not Alice that's having an issue with you, but instead her husband is the one getting in the way and acting like, oh,
No,
yeah,
my
she's a terrible
sword!
person. How dare she give birth in my car? Like, bro, first off, that was not planned. It's not like you were sitting there saying, oh, I can't wait to give birth in that car and ruin it. Like, no, of course not. Like, come on, what are we talking about here? You literally had no control over when this baby was gonna show up, and you definitely weren't expecting it at 38 weeks. But I will say, his response of like, wow, thanks for ruining my car. Don't contact my wife ever again. Like, that for me screams, oh yeah, this guy's a narcissist and he's in control of that relationship, whether Alice likes it or not. So if I was in your shoes, I would take a step back and say, okay, I'm just gonna focus on my family. There's nothing I can
Burn
do
it
about
down!
this. This is
Witness the power of
I
good.
don't think there is.
Burn into song.
I think if this guy ever does end up sending you a bill, which based on the way it's described,
The
I'm sure
rewards
he
of an
would happily
adventure
send
worth
it.
remembering.
My entitled dad takes my inheritance that I got from my deceased mother and spends it all on frivolous things, claiming that I owe him money for all the times he paid child support for me and that he deserves that money way more than I do. And now, as a result, I am now considering cutting my dad out of my life completely because right now I am so upset and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 20-year-old female and I just moved away, and while living with my father, he was constantly borrowing money from me or just straight up stealing my money without asking. I've been working since I was 16 years old, and I don't recall a single paycheck where he hasn't borrowed most of it. He has put our shared account in the negative so many times. He always claims it's because he has no money or just can't afford a bill, and this has become frustrating over time because I was never able to save up for anything. I tried hiding cash, opening up new bank accounts, and yet somehow always the money was found out about because he would track when I got paid, how much I would be paid, and question where the money went. If I lied, I would be sued for irresponsible spending. It got to the point where I was watching him make financially irresponsible decisions, and him falling back onto me and making it my problem. And as a note, I paid for all of my own bills and all of my own stuff. My mom passed away when I was 17, and I inherited money, and I wanted to use this money to move when I graduated high school. My parents were separated when my mom passed, and they were never together. My dad lived in another state, and I moved with him when I was 15 years old because he said he was going to take my mom to court because he felt he was a better fit as a parent.
Oh, wee. Good evening.
Instead of confining themselves to the heavens, God should broaden their horizons in the world below.
Say, こちらへ来い。私、話したく。 妹のように思っていた。家族ができたと思っていたんだ。
実に滑稽ね。
そう。
Oh, wee. Good evening. Bodies, vases, and lassos, and welcome to Quick. You smell absolutely outstanding today. And don't let anyone else lie to you and tell you otherwise. Trauma. The word you cannot spell without a moi. Trauma. It is beautiful, it is sweet, it is spicy nostalgia. Something you can weaponize against your sworn enemies. Welcome to r/traumatize them back. Enjoy. Traumatize my audience with some 6-7 jokes. Foiled the scammer with 6-7 words he never expected. As an older woman, okay. As an older woman, I am sometimes targeted by phone scammers. Okay. Here is how I handled the latest call from one of these criminals, who I will call WBS for would-be scammer. I changed the name because I don't remember it. WBS in a drop. Is this okay?
Hey, not a bad haul.
Speaking, I never say yes to any questions from an unfamiliar caller, so it can't be used to claim I have consented. This is Agent Jack Smith from Waterloo. Thanks number #570. We've been intercepted a large shipment of illegal Mexico addressed to you. Oh, sweet. Me? Oh, thank you for doing that. WBS. Startled. You could go to jail because of this highly illegal shipment. But now I don't have to worry about it because you have intercepted it. Thank you. WBS after a pause to regroup. Don't you understand? You're in big trouble and facing a $5,000 fine. Oh yes, the typical thing. I am a part of a little drug cartel and I am shipping tons of cocaine into the States. What's the punishment? Oh, $5,000 fine. That's fine. I'll make that back selling cocaine. The logic is amazing. I do love the implication that you can get out of like serious drug trafficking charges by paying $5,000. And the fine must be paid immediately. These are very dangerous drugs. Oh, wow, you're doing such a great job protecting me from dangerous drug criminals by catching the smugglers before that happened. Service. WBS. Sputtering a little bit. But the fine is $5,000, and you need to pay now or you could go to jail. Me? Feigning confusion? That sounds terrible, and I am so glad you stopped this shipment and kept me safe. Thanks again for protecting me and our border with your diligent enforcement. I appreciate you and hope you get this dangerous criminal in jail. But at this point, I said thank you and hung up. Option B, just send me the drugs. Thanks. They told me they intercepted 2 blocks, 1 kilo of cocaine, and $100,000. I told them they can keep the guns and coke if they send me the cash. They hung up. God damn it, when you think you have won the import lottery, when you order a book from Amazon, you get $100,000 and a brick of cocaine instead. Shocking mom with the truth about assault, right?
Rise with the sun!
I understand. Skip it. My MAGA mom was trying to convince me that ICE is good by saying, but what about all the illegal immigrants armboarding people? I asked her how many women she knows who were assaulted by illegal immigrants, or just assaulted by anyone, period, that she is aware of. She admitted she didn't know any. My reply was, well, I personally know 5 women, plus me, your own daughter, who were definitely R-worded, and every single one had it happen to them by a white American man. To say that she was flabbergasted is an understatement. This is not a shot at white men, but this is a reality for most of the women I know in myself. You don't know me, but you can add 10 women I know, including myself, to that list. Also, show her names on Epstein file. I see a whole lot of illegal white men doing illegal acts. I don't know, man. Based on what I see on the news, the whole ICE debacle seems to just be a giant clown show. Like, not only are they incredibly unprofessional, they also escalate situations to seemingly use it as an excuse to just inflict violence upon people. And you can play that whataboutism game, I suppose, if you really want to, but I think it's pretty obvious to anyone that's a bit critical of the situation that this whataboutism is just an excuse. The real goal is to create essentially a police force that is really authoritarian, and some of the engagement they have are also breaking the fundamentals of some amendments and stuff. So I mean, this is just bad excuses overall. Don't support this. It's bad. My body takes revenge for medical gaslighting. Years ago, I had to go to the hospital for an infected cyst on my tailbone.
These cysts are extremely painful and often have what is essentially tunnels of infection deep in your butt cheek. As a result, the easily visible part can look almost harmless, or like a really big pimple. This nurse at the hospital kept going on and on about how tiny it was, that I shouldn't be in the hospital, and how I couldn't be in that amount of pain I was in. Ah, yes, indeed. It's my nervous system that is broken, then. That also sounds pretty serious, to be honest. She accused me of drug seeking. I had not asked for anything. Fast forward to her lancing it without anything for the pain. It exploded a lot, all over her face and hair. She certainly looked traumatized. Sheepishly, she was just like, "Oh, that was under a lot of pressure." Usually, I would be embarrassed and feel so bad, but if she had believed me, she would have known better and not to stand in the splash zone. Ah, yes, indeed. Cysts, the main character pimples. Enough to cause a splash zone. Was quietly given something for the pain minutes later. I couldn't have thought up a better revenge if I tried. Honestly, that is some sweet instant karma. Oh, how can you possibly be in pain for this thing? It's not that big. I have had one of those, which didn't rupture until I received IV antibiotics and it gently subsided and not leaked out. I feel your pain, as I think it's probably one of the most painful experiences of my life, and have given birth 3 times. Traumatic and dangerous to have that scale of infection. The wholesome creation of life.
There you are, eavesdropper.
Giving birth to my barista congratulated me on my pregnancy. Not pregnant. Then asked for confirmation from my coworker / said something disrespectful about me. It's on like Donkey Kong. Okay, so to preface, I am a 35-year-old woman who
Light it up!
Receive my blessing.
Show no mercy.
Cut down like this. He says, "Congratulations, by the way." And confused, I said, "Congrats on what?" This man looked at my stomach, then back at my face. Then he starts to turn red, and I realize this man just congratulated me on being pregnant, and I am not pregnant. Girl, I had my work jacket zipped up over my fanny pack. It wasn't a baby bump. So I looked at him harder and I repeated, "Congrats on what?" This man stutters. On your grilled cheese. It's the best choice on the menu. Congrats for making good choices. I'm like, okay, thanks. And I walked out. This exchange happened in front of multiple customers and employees. Very awkward. But I was ready to let that go right then and there. I mean, I would be tempted to like toss the fanny pack out like, ha-ha! Here's the baby, and just toss like a little scene. That'd be really funny. 2 days later, my coworker, who I informed about this exchange, told me that this barista, unprovoked and after the fact, asked him
Rise with the sun!
if I was really pregnant. He told him, "No, dude, 3 times, and then, you guys, this clown literally said, oh God, he's actually pestering random colleagues about this, like, are you sure that he's lying about not being pregnant?" Like, I could brush this off as a simple mistake. You know, it's a social landmine you should probably avoid because, you know, unless you get a conversation, don't bring up the fact that you're pregnant. It's a pretty good social landmine. You learn from other people's mistakes, okay? You don't have to do it yourself. But to double down like this is really weird. Okay, anyway, let's move on. And then this clown said, "Oh well, I guess she just really likes to eat then." You should, okay, so you just saw that social landmine and you just like dove into it instead. That's certainly a choice. You guys, the way my self-esteem crumbled under the 1-2 punch. Like, what a dumb thing to say to women. And what a mean thing to say about her when you find out you are wrong and you think you're just talking shit with the boys. And on top of that, also doing it at your workplace where you're supposed to be at least somewhat professional towards your customers. This is absolutely wild. Not that it would be okay no matter the context, but it's just, man, this is so many layers of critique you can layer on the board. In winter 2023, I weighed 50 pounds more than now. I have lost a ton of weight and my glow up is undeniable. Slay Queen, that is absolutely amazing. Hell yes. You can also tell the police that you birthed your 50-pound baby. You should do that. You guys should put together a fake baby and bring it in a stroller and it weighs like 50 pounds. That would be freaking hilarious. So anyway, yes, I gained back a little bit since Christmas. No, you're not allowed to freak. comment on it in a negative way to multiple people. So I told everyone. I told my boss, I told my coworkers, I told my housemates and my friends. I put this one on blast on Instagram. No tags, but yeah, I think the first initial mistake can certainly be brushed off as him just being clumsy and a bit stupid about a very stereotypical social landmine. But then to double down on it and like talk crap about someone's body because you made a mistake about it is really weird. Like now you're just being a bully. Now everyone at work who frequents the shop knows he's a misogynist prick. Now they have lost at least a few good customers in that respect. Now suddenly there have been a couple of complaints submitted stating that other customers overheard their barista making nasty comments about a female customer's body. I mean, that makes sense. I also wouldn't be surprised if this is not the first nor last time he has done this. It just sounds like he doesn't really respect boundaries about these sort of things. So if he doesn't see it as a problem to talk about people this way, he probably does it to multiple people on a regular basis. The worst part for me isn't having my body be up for critique. It was thinking this guy was alright for 3 years, and then the emotional whiplash of realizing, oh, he's not one of the good ones. If you're mad, and if you feel entitled and audacious enough to comment on a woman's body, be prepared to have your messy ass put in place. Call it petty revenge. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. Or maybe don't start none if you don't want none. I didn't almost die at 90 pounds at 18 just to turn around and be insulted by some bridge troll now that I weigh restored at an objectively healthy weight. I was imparted with a little piece of advice from my elders that I've always stuck to. If you think a woman is pregnant, if that baby's about to burst out, if she's carrying baby supplies, even if she's wearing a shirt saying baby on board, you never say anything about pregnancy. The risk of being wrong is too great. This guy made assumptions, and we know what assumptions make. I was catching up with a friend of mine I hadn't seen in years who was so obviously preggo, pretty much ready to pop. There was a lull in the 30-minute conversation, and she finally stifled a laugh and looks at me in the eye and says, "Oh yeah, I'm also super pregnant." To which I began to congratulate her. She was waiting for me to ask before she realized I wasn't to acknowledge it first. Lamau. I don't know why they're so offended. Trigger warning for mild racism. Can't edit title. Trigger warning is just racism, not mild. Spicy racism. I, 14F, am Dutch citizen and have lived in the Netherlands my entire life. My dad, however, is South African, and so I do have a tanner skin and curly hair. This is very different to my mother's side of the family, who are all pale-skinned with blonde or light brown hair and blue eyes. Nothing wrong with that. At Christmas, I was over at my grandparents' mom's parents' house for the holidays. It was me, my mom and dad, and a few of my aunts and uncles, along with my cousins, and obviously my grandma and grandpa. I have an older brother too, but he wasn't there because he wanted to spend Christmas with his friends and brothers. We began opening the gifts my grandparents got us in reverse age order, oldest to youngest, which is a weird thing that my mom's family does. I watched as my cousins, all older, got gifts related to their interests and wishes. My cousin's brother, who is into art, got a whole art kit and sketchbook. My cousin's sister got a Coach purse, and etc. It is finally my turn, and I notice my present is much smaller than everyone else's. But I don't say anything because whatever. It doesn't matter what size of the gift is, as long as it's a nice one. I tear through the wrapping paper and was literally in shock because my grandparents literally got me a deodorant. A stick of Dove deodorant. It's the one you just pick up at the grocery store on your way to the gym. What? I was confused and turned to my grandparents for an explanation. My grandma only shrugs and tells me, "You're a part of insert N-word. You could use the hygiene." Okay, so not only are you saying this unironically with a straight face, it's also your grandchild you're saying this to, like your own flesh and blood, at Christmas. Oh my god. Yeehaw, you know what they say,
No, my sword! Flesh is the moon.
My dad instantly got the leads because he was hurt too. I mean, to be honest, I would be really listening on cats if I were. Oh my god. My cousins defended faced. My aunts and uncles didn't say anything, but they looked disgusted too. But my mom just told everyone to calm down and that my grandparents could have opinions. Okay, no, that's not how it works. The whole, like, agree to disagree thing works when it's like, ooh, I like walks on the beach, and you don't. Or like, I like garlic bread, and I'm not too into garlic. Like, it's not about, you're a little subhuman piece of shit, and I'm gonna call you slurs on Christmas. That's just their opinion, man.
That's not really how it works. No.
Maybe next Christmas you can buy them like a brain or something and be like, it's just my opinion that your current one obviously doesn't fucking work, so we should have a little brain surgery right here under the tree. Wouldn't that be f***ing Merry Christmas, Grandpa? Fast forward to 31st of December. We are back at my grandparents' house to celebrate together racism. About 5 minutes before New Year's, I give my grandparents a joint gift to start the new year off. Well, it was spices. I got them one of those mini spice variety packs. The conversation went something like this, translated roughly into English. Forgive my grammar. Why would you give us spices? Because you need to spice your food better. White people don't know how to season properly. Oh, stop stereotyping us with white people like that. We spice our food just fine. Well, you gave me deodorant because you thought all insert N-words like me have poor hygiene. They were so upset. I love Berkeley sometimes. That's even better than my brain idea for a gift. Great minds think alike, I suppose. Give them a sassy gift and clap back with the same shite. Maybe they will reflect on it, or at the very least the rest of the family can laugh at them. That is some good payback. Hell yes. What the frick is wrong with your mother? Why is she okay with that? Yeah, that's
Hey,
what
not
I
a
mean.
bad
Like,
hop.
this is not one of those, like, agree to disagree moments. And on top of that, they're also indirectly accusing her husband, the man that she loves and made babies with, in front of their face as well. Like, this is an insult to the entire family, not to mention, like, the everyday racism aspect to it. This is, probably not something you should put up with. Everyone else in that room knew just how much out of line your grandparents were, and your mom is downplaying that. I am sorry for you and your dad because she does not have your back. I sort of understand wanting to keep the peace at a family gathering or Christmas or whatever, but this is like people that you love, and I understand it can be emotionally difficult when you have some people you love being mean towards other people that you love, but you owe it to everyone you love to stand up for everyone in the group in the same way you would probably stand up for your parents if someone's mean towards them in a similar manner. This is what you need to do. Setting these kind of boundaries and letting people know that something isn't okay is also very important for the group dynamic as a whole. Like, what, you're gonna show up for Christmas every year and get racist presents? Is that the plan? That certainly isn't gonna work. Agreed, those are not opinions, but just plain racist.
Rise with the sun!
Borderline hate speech, white supremacy. They also commonly say that the abolition of the apartheid was the worst thing to happen in South Africa. I don't know how I didn't see this coming beforehand. Man, they are really stinky. If this was me in this situation, like if I brought like a wife home with kids and stuff, and some other person in my family started just being racist towards them out of nowhere, I would be so tempted to throw heads at them. Dude, this is insane. And at like family Christmas to your own grandchild. Oh my god, like then you start questioning, do they even see this person as their grandchild? Do they even acknowledge the daughter's husband as like what is it, like son-in-law? Is that what it's called? Something like that, right? It's so wild. It's so wild. No, this really needs to be called out. That is so incredibly nasty. And I hope that little like sassy Christmas gift you gave back to them maybe opens up a dialogue, or at the very least makes the rest of the family like actually call them out. Stop. I was obviously inspired. Group finally had a good comeback every time. I have a confidence insufferable. Since it was a call out to my mom the first week ago, we didn't actually do it very often. Mostly no contact.
Burn it down!
Some important family get-togethers where we are unfortunate. Usually, I try to avoid her if possible, as she is judgmental. Every daughter is married a millionaire and is this comparison is true. Everyone knows
Light it up!
but most people retaliate as a pretty reasonable argument. An old hag who has obvious mental health issues too. In the end of December, we met at a cousin's wedding. The event was beautiful, held in a winter garden. I don't know if this is the correct in English, something similar to a palm house in a botanic garden perhaps. It is specially built for fancy events. She of course complained to everyone who didn't manage to escape fast enough. I happened to be one of those victims. She started with how, why are silver-themed cars for a wedding was so boring? How her daughter's wedding was way more luxurious, and how the bride's dress was too simple to be considered a wedding dress at all. Then she asked what my opinion was. Honestly, the wedding is gorgeous and bride looks so elegant. What I'm wondering about though is how some people simply have no class and birch about others all the time. I've always thought that only people with very low intelligence do that. I mean, how do some people have such poor manners and just speak whatever comes to their mind without any filters? Safe to say, she kept to herself the rest of the evening. Not sure it will last forever though. I mean, that's nice. Just like smack down the ego a little bit. That was probably a good reality check. And on top of that, you don't have to deal with her gossip anymore because she's not going to leak this kind of stuff to you anymore. Maybe she doesn't like it because of it, but I mean, that's not much of a loss. Good. She sounds insufferable. We call such gardens greenhouses, botanical gardens, orangeries, or hothouses in English. It sounds like it was a beautiful wedding. Also atriums, maybe even a pavilion. Oh, also a conservatory. A little leafy place. A kid unintentionally traumatizing his mother. So this is a story where my brother unintentionally traumatized my mother by being, well, himself. My brother has always been stoic. If something is wrong, he just deals with it and keeps going. This results in some interesting moments. One of these happened when he was about 4 or 5 years old. He and my mother were just walking around when he said, "Mom, my foot hurts." No crying, no kicking up a fuss, nothing. So my mother, quite rightly, thinking it was a rock or something, said, "It's only a few minutes, we will have a look back home." And walked home. Well, arriving home and opened his little shoe, it was filled with blood. He had just walked home with a nail sticking right through the sole of his foot. My mother still cringes hard whenever we bring up the story. Oh my god, I mean, you would expect like a 4-year-old to cry or something, when it's like, oh, you stepped on a nail that just pierced through your foot. Mom, I think my foot is a bit sore. Oh, that's alright, Timmy, we're home in 5 minutes, and their entire foot is literally skewered. That's kind of unexpected, isn't it? The audacity. Buckle up, this is a long one. I, 37F, walked into the sauna at my gym in the women's locker room. A few other ladies were in there. No biggie, normal day. I decided to forego my headphones and got no technology and meditate for a few minutes. 5 minutes in, an elderly lady walks in. She's very petite and fit, tanned, long blonde hair, and maybe in her 70s. She looks directly at me and starts a conversation. Lady: "It's such a beautiful day. This city is where to be." Yes, we're so lucky. It's such a nice day. You know, I used to live by the beach and it got weird and now I go to OB. I only go to People's and park there. Oh yeah, I love People's in OB. I live in SC.
Rise with the
Lady.
sun!
Oh well, then have you ever eaten at Nico's? I love that place. No, actually, I got sick from there a long time ago and never went back. Oh really? Well, I don't go to the place on the corner at the end of the street because I got sick there. That's unfortunate because I love their fish tacos. Oh, I don't eat fish. It's bad for you. I did a parasite cleanse and ever since then I can't handle any kind of fish because of the parasites. I only eat red meat. Okay, if that works for you, that's great. I just can't do that. Why? I only eat a small portion. It's better than fish. Fish has mercury, and you know you should try checking your hormones. Have you done that? I go to doctors for that, and they gave me a bioidentical hormones. Have you heard of that? Yes, I have. I don't have any issues. I just don't eat red meat or dairy due to high cholesterol. My father passed away from heart disease, and I am doing what's best for me and my diet. Well, you must be doing something wrong if you still have all this weight on you. Point to my midsection and grabs her own stomach to show what she means. I mean, that was the chance to be a little bit wholesome about it and just be like, oh yeah, bodies are different, people have different issues or strengths, and finding what works for you and keeps you healthy, heck yeah.
Light it up!
But instead she goes this route? Oh, so much for gym. Excuse me, but just because you works for you doesn't mean you know for you came into the sauna, started a conversation with me, and you don't know me or anything about me, and you proceed to insult my weight and act like you know everything about health and what's better for others.
You're being too sensitive. If I was giving helpful information to someone, I would listen.
I do not give a frick if you think I'm being sensitive. I have a medically trained background and currently work at the health and wellness industry. You don't know what's better for someone or not. You're attacking my weight and now my knowledge that I specifically went to and said, thank God she left. Literally every single woman in the sauna was comforting me, saying how that lady always says out-of-pocket things to others. It's not even the first time. This is how she spends her retirement, going around like yapping at people and insulting them in saunas at the local gym. Bruh. Out of all the hobbies you could pick, man. They said that she will always talk about her bio-identical hormones and telling everyone that they should do a parasite cleanse. I was shaking, crying from anger. And also, like, what do you mean parasite? Like, you have active parasites in your body? Yeah, then you probably have some health issues like that. What the heck are you talking about? I was shaking, crying from anger, but left the salon on a positive note because all the other women in there were being supportive. I did go up to the front to make a report about the lady just in case she tries to talk to me or insult me again, and everyone was so nice and supportive and seemed offended by her behavior towards me. It was very validating. Anyway, I'm still upset about it, but felt like I did a good job sticking up for myself. I am just so proud of the audacity of some people. I am never ditching my headphones again. I'm surprised she isn't already reported, if it's so obvious that she does this on a regular. Especially when you're like sitting in the nude in a sauna. Like, going at it like this, it's kind of like in a bit of a sensitive place, you know? Not that it would be okay to do this like out on the floor or whatever either, but it's like, it's an extra level of like invasiveness when you're just sitting there in a sauna and like just minding your business. That is really uncomfortable. You promise? So I, 17, male to female, have this tail that hooks onto belt loops. The other day, I was wearing it when I went to the boys' restroom. I don't quite pass yet. And some kid said,
I'ma stick something else up your waist beside that tail.
At first, I was planning on being silent when I suddenly came up with a great response.
You promise?
In the most femboyish voice I could pull off. Safe to say, that stunned him and his friends into silence. I don't even know who these kids were. My school is just one of those where it's tolerated unless it's an alt boy. Where alt is tolerated unless it's an alt boy. Oh, like alternative. Is that? I guess that's what it stands for. Though I am not a boy, but like I said earlier, I don't pass, so people think I am. I love clapbacks like this because it just like ones up the weirdness they are trying to insinuate. It's like, oh yeah, I'll do this too. And it's like, you promise? Come here. And it's like, oh, I didn't expect it to go this far. And then they get uncomfortable instead. It's so beautiful. Isn't it like an old Stephen Fry quote or something like that? It's like, oh no, stop bullying me. You're turning me on. And then everyone panics and runs away, you know? Absolutely gorgeous. This is a classic. Boys like this have been setting themselves up with this exact scenario for decades, and seemingly none have figured out what to say. I'm glad I did, otherwise I would have just said nothing and ignored the bully as usual. Usually I just laugh at the insults because they genuinely don't faze me. This clapback is good. Bullies should be uncomfortable. I did it.
It's beginning to look like no contact.
This is something that happened a few years ago in a car ride. It was me and my mother in the car. I, F43, was in town visiting for a holiday. I believe it was Thanksgiving. Background: my mom, F74, is the kind who is always right. She is impossible to have a meaningful discussion with when it comes to anything political, particularly abortion, which she is adamantly, obsessively opposed to. So much so that it's the only issue she cares about when she votes. That sounds a little bit weird. She is more Catholic than the Pope. She seriously thought Pope Francis was horrible, but she adored the Nazi Pope Benedict. Don't come at me, he joined the Hitler Youth willingly. It was a choice and he could have declined, many boys his age did. Now, I was driving her back to my older sister's house after the family get-together. She starts going off on me about
how there is no separation of church and state in the Constitution. This is, and has always been, and was always intended to be a Christian nation.
I must have given her a look that made her question. My face has subtitles, also I have a law degree. She does not. She gets her news from relevant radio. So she starts going off about how she's just as intelligent as any of her children, and we need to respect that. I did not anticipate saying it before it fell out. Mom, I think you're giving yourself a little too much credit here. I didn't even realize the full impact of what I had said until I parked in front of my sister's house, and she was mumbling to herself as she nearly fell over and clumsily tried to get out of the car as fast as possible. She didn't know what to say. Believe me, my mom always has a comeback. Always. But she was too angry to even speak. It may have been harsh. I don't think so. She sounds insufferable. This is just a little lesson. Late in life, but very good lesson. But she hasn't ever tried to argue with me again. So honestly, I am okay with how things turned out. My thought is, her ego can only handle being given as much, needing a slice of humble pie once. We only have a surface-level relationship, but that is not from her doing. She is threatened because while she may have the potential to really be an intelligent woman, she doesn't make the effort. I have, and the difference shows. I never mind a discussion that alters my views, because how can I know everything? My views have shifted so much over the years as I learn more, gain more world experience, and interact with people who are unlike me. I mean, that's the adult thing to do, you know, acknowledge that that you don't know anything, and your opinions can gradually change over time, or your opinions on specific things as you gain more information about it or more context to see from different perspectives or what have you. Being open to the fact that you don't already have a perfect opinion about everything in the world is perfectly fine. That's how you learn and grow. She does not sound like she got that memo. I think it's a fundamental difference in how we view the world. If I am honest, she doesn't leave her bubble. I have always wanted to understand what's outside of any bubble. I have never felt proud of myself for shutting down her BS so quickly, so permanently, as regards to me anyway, and without malice. I said it completely neutrally, without even looking at her. When I say it just fell out, that's exactly what I mean. Best way I could have handled that, in my opinion. Thank you for reading this far. Sorry it was so long. As a child who avoids any form of religious or political discussions with her parents for this very reason, I know that had to have felt very good to have the last word on this one. I pass for white? Is that supposed to be a compliment? Attending UC Davis in the early 1990s, I moved into a very upscale, brand new apartment building with 5 students sharing a 4-bedroom apartment. The building was really nice, but in the middle of our year, the previous nice complex manager was replaced by a bossy woman who made our lives miserable. I don't remember her name, but we'll call her Sharon, because Karen is too obvious. Sharon imposed new rules about everything. Signs would appear out of nowhere with new rules. For example, each unit could only have 2 guests at the pool, and if one leaves, you can't bring another. What is so oddly specific? No parking in the visitor spaces, even if someone else stole your assigned space. No putting trash in the bins before 8 p.m. the night before trash collection. The common room had a big screen TV, a huge deal in the 90s, but she controlled the remote and didn't like most of the shows and sports we all liked, and wouldn't show things like Star Trek TGN because she didn't like it, and some shows her kids liked was on at the same time, and so on and on. Sharon was a white South African and mentioned being South African frequently. Whenever someone complained about her new rules, Sharon would say that the rules are necessary and somehow tied to that being South African. The connection wasn't clear, but whatever. I had a feeling that a lot of her rules had a not-so-subtly racist undertone to them. The swimming pool rules seemed to be aimed at one apartment of black women who frequently had their friends over to use the pool and the fitness room. It was after the day that there were a dozen black people in the pool that the 2 guest per unit limit was enacted. The timing is a little bit suspicious. Like, when your gut feeling tells you something like this, it's usually true. Like, it's a little bit too on the nose, you know? It was after a Guatemalan family moved in that the no trash in the bins before 8 p.m. rule occurred. As for me, I am the whitest white person I have ever met. Like, so pale I need 100 solar protection sunscreen every day, even if it's cloudy. This will become relevant to the trauma I inflicted to Sharon. The one popular thing Sharon did was that on one Sunday morning a month, she had pastries and coffee in the complex common room. Woo! One Sunday that this happened was during the Rodney King's riot in Los Angeles. As we ate our store-bought pastries, Sharon had live coverage of the riots on the big screen TV. Not the greatest entertainment. I am pretty sure there was a game on we could have watched instead, but she hated sports. I had a sneaking feeling that Sharon's interest in the riots was that it showed people of color in a bad light. We were in the common room for the free pastries with a few dozen residents in the building, many of whom were people of color. Sure enough, she eventually gave herself away. Here is how the conversation went. Sharon:
Those people are not rioting for their civil rights. They just want a free television set.
Me, sounding shocked. Those people? Is this how you talk about me when I'm not around to hear it? By those people, do you mean my people? Sharon, confused at this point.
Oh, not you. I was talking about the rioters on TV.
Me, very loud. The rioters? So do you mean people like me? I thought this complex was equal opportunity housing when I moved in. Sharon, more confused.
What are you talking about? The rioters are...
Me, cutting her off and making sure this conversation is loud enough to get everyone's attention. Yes, the rioters are what exactly? Were you going to say the rioters are black? Sharon, turning red-faced.
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize.
You didn't realize what? You thought I passed for white? Is that supposed to be a compliment? Is that the only reason the management leased the apartment to us? Sharon wasn't able to dig out of that one. She set down her coffee, took her pastry, and left the room. After that, the rules started relaxing. Suddenly, it was no big deal who had guests in the pool, who dumped their trash, who played their music, and so on. While sadly, that was the last free pastry day, she never spoke to me again. On the day we moved out, at inspection time, her husband, who didn't share management duties with her, he was a graduate student, showed up instead of her for the inspection. For the last year, 5 college-aged men had lived in the apartment. And while we weren't slobs, with 5 young men sharing an apartment, there was going to be damage. We had some carpet stains, a few scratches and marks on the walls. Nothing huge, but definitely stuff landlords love to gouge tenants for. He barely stepped through the door. He didn't look at the apartment or go over the checklist. He just handed the checklist to one of us to sign. The no damage box was ticked next to every item, and she had already signed the form, with us getting the full deposit back. My apartment mate countersigned, rather than asking who would get the deposit check back. We had cash and asked how we wanted to divide it. We split it 5 ways, signed receipts, and gave back our keys. I mean, kind of a happy ending though. Maybe they realized that they were in the wrong after like getting called out on it in an embarrassing way or something. Who knows? Let's hope for the best. At least it sounds like it was kind of a happy ending for everyone involved in this building. Need creative suggestions. Need suggestions. My ex-husband is driving in my grass when it comes to pick the kids up, like this picture is showing. And he does it when he backs out so the cameras time out and don't record it. Suggestions as to how to stop this obnoxious behavior. A rut is forming. A boulder right there. Build an r/little free library with your kids and put it there. The more nails, the better. Easy to see, and hopefully he's considerate enough to not hit something your kids made. This is both charming and devious. Love it. A little free library. Oh, this is what the subreddit looks like. My dad and I built me a little free library. Look at this pupper, and look at the little library, and look how cute it is with books. That is amazing. And make sure it has a lot of nails, like a f***ing porcupine for a car. Ah, well, laddies, lasses, and lasses, I do hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed having you here, you wonderful, beautiful beings. And I will see you again in the very near future. Take care. Mwah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, my Mom and Dad. I am so happy to finally turn 18. Now, Timmy, you know that you have a bunch of siblings, right? What? I have siblings? I had no idea. That's right. You have many older siblings. And you haven't met them yet because they are busy working off their debt to us for raising them in the coal mine. What? Off to the coal mine you go, Timmy.
Good evening, laddies, lasses, and lasses, and welcome to the Click You Smell Absolutely Astounding Thing. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Birthday emotional support demons are out now, yes indeed, and also emotional support demon pins. Isn't that absolutely amazing? Yes indeed. We're gonna have like an entire Barbie setup, but with emotional support demons pretty soon. Buy your emotional support demon dollhouse. Anyway, link down below. As you may have guessed from the intro, today we're doing a oldie but a goldie. Insane parents. I have scrolled through the internet, Reddit, Facebook, anti-vaxxer groups to collect the most beautiful, unhinged moments of parents in our modern age. So just sit back, relax, and be horrified with enjoyment. Mwah.
My son has suspected measles, and the doctor basically implied it's my fault for not jabbing my son. A sad emoji, angry emoji.
Moms used to have measles parties so all the kids could catch it all at once to build their immunity. I got my kid vaccinated and will always regret it.
Ah, Mom of the Year. My children are having measles outbreaks while I chill by the pool. Isn't that absolutely amazing?
One ironic part I always find with these parents is that they're very often vaccinated themselves because their parents were usually a bit more sane than they are, but then they don't do it for their kids. It reminds me of this like TikTok story I read from a parent that was like,
I don't vaccinate my kids because I don't believe vaccines don't work. I don't vaccinate my kids because I believe in population control.
Mom of the Year, spreading measles in school for population control. All of this because I deleted my Life 360. Life 360 is a tracker app that shares your location with someone else. I deleted the app. You don't need to know where I'm at.
The phone you have is financed. It requires it to be on or I get charged extra. Do you want Mom to gather up pills or not?
Wait, what is that? Are you threatening to do something silly because your kid deleted an app on their phone? What? Yes, but I know that's not true. I'm gonna be honest, I have never heard of a phone that charges you extra to uninstall
This realm
apps.
is truly
Man, I look
beginning
dark
to
in this one.
thrive.
Natural
I
light
cannot
has
help
begun.
but
I'm
be
the main
stirred.
character. How dare the sun think it's the main character? Disgusting.
I am still on night shift, but we'll make it work. Try to get a doll to bring them to you. It is absolutely true. I can prove you the phone's finance. I wouldn't lie to you. You're not important enough to lie to.
Oh my god, if someone drops me that line, I'm definitely gonna believe they're always truthful with me.
Don't worry.
If you
I will
ever
never
have
lie
any
to you
questions-
because you're so unimportant, your opinion doesn't matter enough for me to lie.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm keeping it on.
That's exactly 4 days left, and the phone will shut off if it's not on Verizon. Will do it.
She sounds like a scammer. She sounds like one of those scammers that's like, send me your bank account now because I have hacked your phone and I will do all kinds of nasty things with it. And you say like, okay, go ahead and do it. And they're like, I'm going to. Soon, but send me bank first. It's just like that. Your mom is like LARPing a shitty scammer. Okay, that just make it where you can talk to me. Pick a phone plan.
You're lost.
Okay.
I love you, but I'm sorry you're not gonna abuse me no more.
Man, people really do be throwing around buzzwords all the time. It's like, oh my god, I deleted an app on my phone.
That is abuse.
Yeah, no, I disagreed with the plans for the weekend. That is gaslighting. Oh my god, man. How is this abusing? I don't think you need to know where I'm at. You're just acting immature this time.
Again, the phone will shut off if the location are not on because that is the part the contract on the phone. If you want to give me $200, then I can pay it off and you can have it.
I don't see it anywhere on that.
Google it.
But what do you mean Google it? You actually shared the entire phone plan, and then it turns out there's nothing on the phone plan that mentions an app that you're forced to keep, otherwise it will charge you extra, or whatever. And then when this person points out that it isn't on the phone plan, you say, Google it? Instead of looking at the phone plan that you sent, you've literally sent the evidence and it contradicted your BS. Oh, I will Google it. It said no.
No, I didn't. Don't lie.
So here you go again.
Yes, because I'm an adult.
Maybe physically.
And I know the truth, and when you lie, I know it.
Do you need your location on for Verizon to still be active? No, you don't need to have your location services turned on for Verizon to keep your phone active. Your phone will still receive calls, text, and data through Verizon's network, and even if location services are off. I don't need to. You're making everything very difficult.
It's up to you. The contract is gonna shut the phone off in 2 days.
I swear she's still doubling down LARPing like a crappy scammer and pushing this narrative that I abuse you.
This time you grow up. I gotta go to work. Bye.
You're cutting yourself off. I am